So we talked a little bit about relaxation last week as conceptualizing it as actually a deep form of practice. Obviously, it's understandable in a very mundane way. Relaxation feels good. The culture at large is always talking about stress and being overstressed, and it has health benefits and all of that. But relaxation is also a perfectly good way of talking about what the whole spiritual path is about. And so I'm not going to go too far into that aspect of it, the philosophical aspect. We talked about that a lot last week. That's on YouTube, I think. But complete relaxation can be framed in a lot of different ways. One way would be what we talk about as doing nothing at all. So you're completely non-resistant to everything that's happening. But that could even include your body moving, right? So you could be fully relaxed and playing a violin concerto or making breakfast or talking with a friend. But you're just not interfering with the flow of your body, mind, emotions, and the world. So complete non-interference. And any of those who attain states of flow in their life will know that it's possible to be very active physically or even mentally and still be in a state of complete relaxation or intense relaxation. You're just allowing the activity to happen. And ultimately, the deepest sort of conception of the spiritual path is you are allowing the activity of your person to happen without interference. Again, that's at a very high end. So to be able to be in flow while playing a violin concerto you can't just do it, right? You have to sort of practice. And the same is true here. It's hard for us to know how to have a conversation, teach a class in flow, how to make breakfast without thinking, how to do our taxes, right? It's hard we don't know how to do those things in flow. It takes a kind of practice, continually finding the places where you're actively resisting or controlling and releasing into it. I really find that for some of this approach to spirituality, the Taoist path is really, really useful. A lot of good language. In many ways, you might think that's, if you think of Qigong or Tai Chi, these are practices which are asking you to be moving, to be even doing a martial art in some sense. But the whole purpose is to sort of relax everything in the body as you're doing it. As we sit here, maybe I'll encourage some relaxation. One Taoist practice I've practiced starts with relaxing the sides of the head and like the ears and then the jaw. So we're going sort of from the top of the head down, and we're letting energy sort of release down the side of the head and now down the sides of the neck. So you start to feel your neck sort of elongating, going down the sides, and then down over the shoulders, down the arms, the forearms and into the wrists, into the palms, and then out to the tip of each finger. There's kind of a flow of energy you can feel flowing down the sides of your body. I think there's probably some acupuncture story about meridians here that I'm not knowledgeable about. But you can sort of let all that flow into the tip of your middle finger, which is sort of the farthest extremity from your head on the arms, right? So you're letting all the tension flow all the way out, and you can just hold your attention on the middle finger. You just allow things to drain out that side body. So as we progress in the meditation path, what will happen is certain chunks of us will relax, and those will be either really good days of sitting or actual awakenings or insights. An insight is usually the relaxation or the release of some illusion. And it manifests as seeing the truth, but what's really happening is you're removing the illusion. And removing is too strong. You're just letting go of the illusion. It gets to float away or evaporate. But this can be understood as actually releasing some tension in the body. We hold our beliefs in the body, and we talked about this last week. Our beliefs and desires are held in our body. If they're temporary beliefs and desires, then they just arise in the body and our activity there. But if they are long-held beliefs or long-held desires, there's a patterning in our physical form that corresponds to that belief. I say corresponds because I don't want to tell you that that's identical to a belief, but if you're having a belief, there will be a effect in the body. So what happens when we awaken, when we have an insight? Well, we're seeing through an illusion, that's the mental aspect of it, but we're also releasing something from our body. So when we practice, for instance, just this little practice of things coming down the side of the body, you don't need to know anything deeper, but you're allowing the body to release whatever is ready to release. And in doing that practice, you are opening yourself to bigger visions of your life. One way you can tell this is if you're noticing resistance to the relaxation. You're like, oh, it's so hard to relax. So first of all, we don't need to force ourselves to relax. That's sort of the opposite of relaxation. But secondly, that resistance to the relaxation shows you that there is a inbuilt desire to hold on to something. All we're doing with physical relaxation is, hey, just relax your muscles. Right now, you're in your room, you're safe. You don't need to be doing any physical activity. So just relax your muscles. But if your body says, no, I can't relax here, it's holding on to something. And first of all, that's not bad. That's not bad. There's reasons that your body holds on to things. And yes, the process of spiritual work is to sort of let it start to release those things, but we have to first respect the holding on. But the practice of relaxation gives you the opportunity to notice the holding. And in that noticing, you are noticing some belief desire, some belief desire pattern in your body. And so let's add now the front of the body. So we relax the face, the forehead, the cheeks, the eyes, the front of the jaw, the mouth. We feel relaxation going down the front of the neck. You may find your neck, your chin needs to come down a little bit, your neck. There's a great image, again, from Qigong, where you sort of imagine a meat hook in the back of your occipital, sort of pulling your head up. And it brings your chin down just a little bit and relaxes all the throat area in there. And it really causes a straight spine. And you feel relaxation down the front of the chest, down the belly and through the guts, down into the loins and the inner thighs and the butt. Relaxation down the thighs, relaxation down the calves, the ankles, and over the top of the foot, out to the tip of each toe. And just like we focused on the middle finger, now we can sort of focus on the big toe. Now this is the furthest extremity from the top of your head on the legs, right? So we're now letting everything drain out through the big toe, down to the front of the body, down to the big toe. Now this is a brave activity. We think of as relaxation as this sort of ooey gooey, gentle, let's go to yin yoga, be really sweet kind of practice. And it can be, but it actually requires a lot of bravery. It's you're stepping out into the world naked, right? We are clothing ourselves in our resistance. We are clothing ourselves, we are girding ourselves, we are armoring ourselves. We are at the ready to protect ourselves with our resistance, which can be manifested as our beliefs, desires, and is also manifested in the body and how it's physically held. So when I ask you to relax or open to relaxation, we're not forcing relaxation, but open to relaxation, you are asking yourself, I am asking you to start to de-armor. And again, if you feel resistance to the relaxing, that's understandable. That's a part of your body going, hey, I know you think this is all easy and everything, but this is scary. And we can remind you that you're in your room and you're safe. And I can also remind you that no part of you is going to be forced to relax, that you should not be trying to force yourself to relax, that we are opening to the possibility of letting go. In many ways, it's like, you ever go to you're at an apple tree, say, I remember in LA, I would walk around early and there would be some, I think orange trees. Yeah. But apple trees are even better. And you just sort of tug, or pear tree, you tug on the apple to see if it's ready to fall off, right? You don't jerk and pull the apple and the branch is coming down. Like, that's not an apple that's ready to be picked. So you just sort of tug a little bit. You're giving a little attention to an area that might be tense. And you're like, hey, are you ready to release? And it's okay if you're not. I'll go over here to another part that's releasing. We're interested in the releasing. The parts that don't want to release, we're just giving the space to be how they are. That's relaxation as well. And there's a kindness in asking, hey, do you want to relax? And when it says no, okay, we'll pull back. Right? The asking is kind. The asking is kind because there's some suffering in this tension. So it's kind that you're willing to ask this part of you, are you ready to relax? But it's also a kindness to respect its wishes in the present moment. No, you're not ready to relax? Great, that's fine. And notice if there isn't some relaxation in your body when you have this respectful attitude towards your own tension, your own beliefs, your own identity. Very often, especially with beginners, I know the people on Zoom are all pretty experienced, but for beginners, if a good guide really helps them to relax, there'll often be a lot of emotional release because they felt the safety to relax, but relaxing actually allows for energy to arise. And that could just lead to crying or laughing. That's not counter to the relaxing. That is actually part of the relaxing. And for those of you who have been sitting a lot longer, the same thing will be happening. It could very, very well be emotional, but it might also just feel energetic through the body. You just might feel energy starting to move, or heat. Heat being a kind of energy, but you might feel movement at a lower level, a sort of more fundamental level, when something releases or when you are sitting in a relaxed state. As we get more and more relaxed, there really is a sense in which the sort of universe flows through your body, right? Because you're no longer separating yourself out from the universe. The universe comes in, it affects you, and your body just reacts to it, expresses, and then pushes that energy back into the universe. And you don't have to think of this energy in any kind of new agey metaphysical way. Literal energy. The universe is sending energy through your body all the time. It's impacting you, right? With forces and chemical energy and heat. And we can resist that, or we can respond to it. We can flow with it. So the same thing, as we feel relaxation in our body, and if some part of our body, even a tiny little part, wants to release, there will be an energy release. And actually, that's part of the relaxation, is allowing that energy to move all the way through. Can't force it. The energy might start to bubble up, and then it might just get sucked right back down. Fine, that's totally fine. But we want to not rush away And we want to allow that energy to settle and move all the way through. So we're practicing letting that energy move all the way through down to the big toe. That's a kind of sense of letting, it's like a scanner moving through your body from the top of the head down to the face, all over the front of your body. It's like squeezing out the toothpaste from the tube all the way down to the big toe. But it's squeezing out, in the most gentle way possible. For many of you, you'll notice when you focus on the middle finger or you focus on the big toe that heat starts to flow into that area. That's a good sign. That's actually there are practices in purely Western methodologies for lowering blood pressure, for instance, which are about increasing the blood flow to your extremities. And you could ask, well, how can I control the blood flow to my extremities? Well, amazingly, you can just give attention to your extremities and blood will flow there. So let's do the last part of the body. Let's do the back side. So the top of the head now, down the back of the head, down the back of the neck. We still have that neck held up by that meat hook. Goes down the spine, down the back, down the shoulder blades, down around the kidneys, down into the sacrum, very important. So sort of joining of the upper and bottom half of the body, down through the perineum and down the back of the thighs. We're letting energy go. Breathing in, we're breathing out. We feel energy going down the calves, the Achilles tendon and the ankles. And now over the bottom of the foot, it rides under the bottom of the foot, all the way to the pad. And then you can focus on the point just before the pad, like at the top of the arch, or the most frontmost point in the arch. And allow energy to go down through the bottoms of your feet into the ground. We breathe in and we breathe out. We might say a word like calm or peace in our mind. Okay, so we're going to transition into our actual sit here. I know the people in Zoom have all been sitting. You can just continue staying with it. If you feel a need to prepare for sitting for another 30 minutes, that's also fine. So we begin with another Taoist practice of breath focus. Not very different from a lot of other traditions, but really focusing on the deepest form of relaxation while focusing on the breath. So we will start by focusing on the nostrils. And so the thing we're adding now is just a little extra concentration. So how do we do that? We get very interested and curious in the physical sensations, the sensory experience of the air and the muscles around the nostrils, whatever that's made of in there, what that all feels like during the breathing experience. And we focus in on temperature and vibration and all that. Bless you. Now, the key to making this a relaxation practice is that you are not controlling your breath at all. The only thing you're controlling is your attention. So the phrase often, I've heard this in Qigong, attention, not intention. So you're not trying to control, improve, fix, understand. You're not doing an investigation other than a sensory one. You're letting that breath come in when it wants to come in and go out when it wants to go out. I like to think of this as a waiting practice. You are waiting to experience the in-breath, and when it happens, you experience it. You then are waiting to experience the out-breath, and when the out-breath happens, you experience it. You are then waiting to experience the in-between, the pause between the breaths. And so on. What does this mean? It means the breath does not have to be long. It does not have to be smooth. It doesn't have to be any particular way. It could be very irregular. It could be whatever it is. It's the start of your breathing practice, and you aren't controlling the breath. So let's do that now and move back in between, so sort of the sinuses area and behind the nose as you breathe in, and sort of goes down behind the mouth. You can feel the air sort of heading towards the throat, but it's in the sinus area. And again, we're not focused on the air. We're focused on the muscles in our body. That's where relaxation is. That's where tension is. That's where intention is. And we're going to give attention to that area. Again, notice, are you controlling your breath at all? And then just let go of that and wait for the breath to come in, wait for it to go out. For those of you who have been practicing from awareness or from wider perspectives, that's totally still available. Attention can focus in while awareness stays wide. Attention happens within awareness, right? And the breath happens within awareness. And so we'll move now into the throat. And this is where we'll start to maybe notice the area where we're most likely to first sort of notice intention in our body. That is hidden, ancient holdings. And so we aren't fighting with those. We're just giving attention without adding any more intention, without adding any more doing. We let the breath come in, we let the breath go out when it wants to, and we let it feel how it wants to feel in the throat. It might be numb, it might be hot, it might be tight, it might be wide open and relaxed. When you're really giving attention, anything can happen in the breath. And this is an area where for a lot of us, you might start getting really shallow little breaths because the throat is starting to be activated. Some ancient little fear or sadness is there. or there could be a stuck spot that the breath sort of gets smooth and then sort of skips over an area. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful to notice with attention, without adding any interest in fixing it or changing it. So let's just do the nostrils, the sinuses, and the throat all together. This is one area of the body, and we aren't interested again in following the air through the body. We're interested in the integrated experience of breathing in and out. The nose, the sinuses, and the throat all work together in synchrony to create the breath. And so what are we doing? We are zooming out a little. Our attention is a little wider. It's taking in this whole area. And it's taking in just this area. So the attention, the concentration part of it is to have the attention just map onto just the area we're interested into. It takes on the shape of the breath through the face, the sinuses, and the throat. Noticing the artificiality of the separation between those three parts. I made up that separation. You can now notice, oh, it's one experience. So here's another way you might start us noticing resistance here is that attention gets pulled into a narrower part of the breath. It could get distracted from this area entirely. That's obviously one way. And another way is this area may have some smaller part of it that keeps bringing your attention into a smaller experience. That's okay. That's showing you there's some intention in you that's asking for attention. You just gently be aware of it and let it sit in the wider space as you can. That's the concentration practice. So even if your throat is really active and showing off some like signs of needing attention, you give it that attention, but from the context of the wider area. Always welcome to stay wherever you want, but we're going to integrate the whole body here. So if you want to move in down the sternum, and then all the way to the bottom of the sternum and all the way around the rib cage to the back. So we're taking the whole chest area. And so again, a wider area, and we're just feeling the breath come in. It raises the sternum a little bit. It expands the rib cage, expands the back all the way around to the spine. But to whatever degree is happening without you controlling it right now. So some of us might have a very stuck part of the breath, and maybe our rib cage in the back doesn't expand at all. Maybe we're breathing very shallowly. That's all fine. That might make it harder to notice the experience, but that's the concentration. How does the breath affect the muscular structural experience in the chest, rib cage, spine? Remembering the first rule, we are waiting for the breath to come in. We are waiting for it to go out. We are not intending to do anything to our breath. This is a genuinely kind way of interacting with your body. I am not going to force anything on you, body. You may start noticing, of course, that the out breath has inherently in it a kind of relaxation. Doesn't mean it's relaxing everything, but when the breath goes out, there's muscles that release. You may find, of course, that the breath seems to just stop at a certain point. That often happens because you're getting more and more relaxed, but it's not a requirement. Sometimes it happens because there's some real tension. That happens too. So there's no goal of getting the breath to stop, but you might notice it. And then can you just be relaxed and wait for the breath, wait for the breath, wait for the breath to come in. By focusing on right now, the rib cage, the chest area. How might you notice intention or resistance in your body as you're attending to the breath? You might notice heat. You might notice numbness. You might notice cold. You might notice constriction or tightness. You might notice that it's expanding or pressing outward, some area of your body. Generally, there's a feeling of stuckness to an intention. But sometimes it could be fairly energetic. So it could be looping or moving or bouncing back and forth or vibrating. We're just allowing all that to happen. And the sternum area across the breast area is a place that we hold a lot of emotion and historical stuff. For those of you who have been a little more in this practice for a while, you might feel that your center of your observational self is actually in the chest. That is, you don't even have to look at it from above. You can just sort of experience it from within. So as if you've dropped down below the head and you're now experiencing the breath in the chest area from the chest area. Not something to force, but something to allow to happen. You may not know, you might be so habitually ready to stay in your head that you don't know that, oh, I could just let go here. And now I'm in my heart. You're welcome to stay there, but we're going to continue down through the body. Now we're going to take the whole abdomen area. We're going to start from the solar plexus over the belly and the dantian in there, all the way down to the perineum, all the way around to the back and the kidneys and the sacrum. So the breathing coming in and out in this whole wide area. Again, we're staying at a wider area. And we're allowing the breath to come in when it wants to and go out when it wants to. We're letting the previous areas go for now. We're turning our attention to the abdomen from the solar plexus all the way down to the base of the body. There's a lot that can happen in here. There's a lot of areas and activities and regions. It's like a Lord of the Rings map down there. There's like lots of different places to explore. But we're sitting in a sort of bird's eye view of it, getting a wide experience of the whole thing. You may be still in your head observing downward. That's fine. If you felt like you dropped into your heart, you may be observing the abdomen from the heart. That's fine. Or you may release even deeper and observe the abdomen from the abdomen itself. You sit down there in the gut, observing the experience, experiencing it from within. If you ever can find it, the Dantian, which is just a couple fingers below the belly button there, if you ever sort of really reside there, there's a real sense of peace in that area underneath whatever intentions we've stored there. Just check in to see if you're doing anything that you can let go of. Can you just let the breath happen? It's like you're watching the ocean come in and out. Or if you're really grounded in the gut, it's like you're floating on the waves as they come in and out. But neither one of them requires you to do anything. Okay, we're just going to slide into this Mahamudra practice where we focus on the in-breath and the out-breath, and then we notice the whole body. So in this case, we can just notice the connected area. We breathe in, we breathe out, and then we notice the nostrils, the sinuses, the throat, the chest, the rib cage, the solar plexus, the belly, all the way down to the perineum. So you may breathe in and you notice the lower belly, or wherever you want to let your attention fall on the breath. It could be a small area or it could be a wide area. You breathe out, but you make sure that by the end of the out breath, you're experiencing the whole breathing process. If you want to, you can include the legs and the feet, but at least include those areas that we've already touched on. So we're integrating that whole experience. When we focus out, it's not like we're running through a list of all the things. It's the fact that the nostrils and the belly move in unison together to bring the breath in. And so we can experience them as one thing. Just as when you watch a wave on the ocean, you could focus in on one little particle of foam, but you can also watch the whole wave. So we're going to watch the whole wave. We breathe in, we feel the breath wherever it is. We breathe out, we feel the breath. And then we sink into the whole breathing experience. Actually, for now, you just choose which one you want to do here, but definitely make sure that at some point you're experiencing the whole breathing experience. That is at least the whole torso and head, or maybe the whole body all the way down to the feet. So there's a little bit of trying here, which is just to keep yourself spacious, but that's all. Everything else is letting the breath and the body move how it wants to move. So those who want to just try again a little bit more, just a little bit more difficult, is I want to make sure that you want to try and see if you can't tune in to use to your attention while the whole body is happening. So as you breathe in, maybe focus on the belly, just the area of the belly. And as you breathe out, sink into the whole body. So this will either feel like your attention gets narrow and then your attention gets wide, or it will feel like you're sitting in awareness and the whole body is there and your attention is within awareness, focused on the belly and then letting go into awareness. Focused on the belly and then letting go into awareness. Attention and awareness are separable. Attention requires awareness, but awareness doesn't require attention. So the narrow can happen within the wide, but the wide can't happen within the narrow, right? Again, for if you're at all a beginner on this, or this is actually fairly advanced, so you might just be narrowing your attention and then widening your attention. That's very straightforward. It's not always easy, but it's straightforward. You focus narrowly on the breath coming in the belly, and then as you breathe out, you focus wider on the breath in the whole body. In and out, whole body. Okay, so as the breath is coming in, I want you to start listening to the breath. So we're including our auditory sense. Still feeling it, but we're also listening to it. It might be very quiet. You're not in your forehead or in your eyes, you're back either in the whole body, or at the very least, you've dropped back between the ears to listen. Listening doesn't require going anywhere. The sound comes to your ears. So you can just sit there and wait for the breath to come in, the breath to go out, and the sound of the breath coming in and the sound of the breath going out. Now, I want to encourage you to do the same thing here. This is a little more difficult, but you listen to the whole breath. There will be some loud part of the breath, but listen to the breath in the nostrils, in the sinuses, in the throat, in the chest, in the solar plexus, in the belly, all the way down to the base of your body. So your ears are open wide, listening to the whole breathing experience. It may be very quiet. So we can just notice that the breath, the sound of the breath, the feel of the breath arises in awareness, passes through awareness, and disappears. Awareness, though, just stays there. One way to tune into this breath, this awareness, is to really focus on what we said before. So now instead of attention, not intention, it's awareness, not intention. So we're letting go of all doing here. So if you would like, for these last 3 minutes or so, just see if you can't really pull your foot off the gas pedal, as I like to say. Now you're just not intending to control anything, even your attention. Add one that you can just notice, is there some doing still going on? Can you just bring that doing into awareness? The second you bring that doing into awareness, you're no longer the doer. So it's not something you have to do anything about. Just be like, oh yeah, I'm still sort of trying a little bit. I'm still holding on to a self is what's happening. You can just relax around that holding in the body, that self-holding. And you can stay with that. From wherever you are, can you just notice a flavor of love and gratefulness in the practice here? This is what it is to trust yourself, to care for yourself, to just be able to give yourself this much space and allowing, to give yourself a period of time where you're not trying to fix yourself, or at least you're practicing not trying not to fix yourself. There's some real love in that awareness. The awareness just sitting there, it's bathing your whole experience with acceptance. And if that little self of yours is still around, that self that's sort of trying and doing, and it can start generating some gratefulness. If there is no little self there, you can just bathe in the awareness, bathe in your beingness. But if there's still someone that's trying, that's wondering if I'm doing a good job, which is probably what's happening, then just let that have the attitude of gratefulness. Let it say thank you. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for paying attention. And if you say thank you and you notice any warmth in your body, any warmth of feeling of gratitude or love, then just notice that as well. And we can finish up here. We can put our hands on our bodies if we want, put our hands on our hearts, our belly maybe. Not required, but totally kind way to possibly end. If you're totally still, you might just want to stay there bathing in it. But as we come out of it, you can also rub your hands down your arms. I have this new, it's very cold here. I have this new nice sweatshirt that I'm just very soft. My hands down, rub your hands over your head. Rub your hands down, fingers across your cheeks, your forehead, jaw. Put your hands on your belly, put your hands maybe up your kidneys. And as you want, you move sort of how you want to, again, seeing how much relaxation you can have in the moving. Meaning you might want to stay super still. You might want to really move. Your body might want to be like, ah, yes, finally. To turn my neck. Let your body sort of see your environment. Remind yourself where you are. I like to do it by turning and stretching the neck. You can look up. Oh, you can look down. Okay, good set. For those on Facebook, we're going to log off here. We do this every Saturday for the most part, and you're always welcome to join us in Zoom. We're going to go into a question and answer period here. I also do one-on-ones, and anyone can reach out if you want to do a little bit more intensive work on meditation. That's for beginners as well as people that have been doing this for a long time. And I will be starting a Sunday evening class. I still haven't titled it yet, but it will be probably 4 to 6 weeks. I haven't decided yet that either. I have 3 different classes I want to teach, and I haven't decided which one I want to teach. That will be announced probably this week. And so that will be a 6-week course that you can sign up for. All right, much love to everybody. And now we will go into question and answer.